Today is September 21st, 2020, and it is 1 p.m. We are here with Kahlil Calavas. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oops, I got to turn my volume up so that I can hear you better. Yeah, we're outside. This is our outdoor office. And
Nice.
yeah, well, it's what we can do for the moment. I'm working on a wall with bamboo right now, so.
Nice. That's cool. Whereabouts are you?
We are in Fremont, California, so
Okay.
right in Silicon Valley here.
Oh, nice. I used to live in Oakland for a little while.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was cool. I lived at the Jack London estate
Oh, wow.
on the sunny side. Do you know of that space, the Bordello?
I vaguely haven't been there, but I've heard about it.
It's wild. Yeah, a lot of movies were filmed there, but I did a 360 virtual tour and some filming for them for a bit.
Okay.
Pretty cool. This is just a far out place.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Well, I guess while we're waiting for Nathan, I just wanted to know, what have you been able to complete within the chapters of the introductory package?
Well, like right now, really not much at all because I've been really focused on working on one of my framework for a client, and it's kind of finished right now, which is really good. It's a multiplayer virtual reality framework.
Let me see. I can change this so that you can even share if you want to. I just changed the viewing so that anyone can share on this meeting.
Okay, great. Yeah. So basically, I made a virtual reality framework which allows multiple people to log in at the same time, and there's voice chat. So it's pretty much like ready for rapid prototyping. So I've been just myopically focused on that. Also, having a daughter. Well, my wife is in about 4 weeks. So thank you. There's a lot going on, but it's a really good time right now because like I was working, 40 to 60 hours a week at a corporate job up until July because of the pandemic and everything. So I finally have space doing this stuff. So it's great. I'm excited for that. But I'm really excited to talk to more of you guys in person about what your needs are and what your vision looks like. And I'll have some time coming up to look more into it. So yeah.
So let me get the right window up here right now to share with you. We're going to start from the point of, have you gone to our website, greatworksalliance.com?
I think I did, yes. Let me pull it up.
All right, pull that up first. Okay.
Alliance for Greater Works.
Great Works, GREAT Works Alliance, and it should come up looking like this.
GreatWorksAlliance.com.
Right now we're using a free website builder program, so it's a little bit.
Yeah, you got
it's a start.
The Milky Way in the back, a time elapse.
Yeah.
Nice, like it.
And we've done some updates on this to further expand, but we can start right here in the bottom of this introductory section, because this is where you're coming in.
Okay.
Because we are seeking players to join our development and growth in tech community service meshing. So we hear talk about service meshing when it comes to software programs and other such programs, but there's not a whole bunch of it in the real world as far as service meshing. We have different organizations that only push those that are within their network and don't expand and don't connect the dots so that a customer or client can come in and say, okay, well, I'm a disabled vet and I need services for housing, health, care, and food,
Yep.
right? So there's at least 5 different topics that need to be addressed in that scenario. And what we've been coming to see more often than not is that the individual seeking that aid has to go through all these hoops to get to the right services, instead of having from the very get-go, okay, if you're a veteran and you're disabled, you have 2 advocates that should be assigned to you from the beginning to help you through the entire process without you having to call and remind them that they have to do these things, you know. And so what we've done here is we've started out with using OS ticket systems as our backbone for creating tickets that help uh, to properly align the request to the appropriate department and advocacy. And our plan is to be able to provide this as a framework for any organization to adopt. So I'm going to go over to the help desk. We're using Coalition for Protection.org as a testing ground. This is our beta test right here. And so let me get this page up and share it with you. This is also linked to greatworksalliance.com in the missions, like the step-by-step missions that we have on the website for Great Works Alliance.
Yep.
And then as a guest, you can create a ticket. You can check your ticket status, have knowledge base and a support center home. And we don't have it set up for voice communication or like automated announcements. Here's Nate. Anyway, so that's.
How's it going?
What up, man?
Not much, man. Good to see you. See you both.
So, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You know about Docker or Kubernetes?
Docker is like what for like installing applications on your computer, like Docker. I forget what they're called. I don't know. Yeah,
like,
I've heard of it. Yeah, it's like a one-click install. You got a whole Docker container full of your application, right?
Right, and their whole concept is on the app side. You don't need a whole bunch of exe files to go ahead and do a runtime.
Yeah.
That's repeated between all of your separate apps. Why not share it? Just strip everything down into like Lego blocks for their essentials and how they're supposed to operate according to the designer, and have them share anything that's commonplace with the appropriate security and detachments. So it's basically like what they're doing on the edge side with IoT, and they started it with the app side, and now everything's going client side. So everybody well versed in server side stuff is kind of intentionally being phased off and phased out because of so many of the benefits. Like the technology and skill in it is really, really important, just applied in a different set where it's on the front end. So you can strip down a whole bunch of the resource costs as well as the labor and all that. Like right now, using some sort of service provider or content provider is more cost efficient in the short run and long run, unless if you're in this very initial stage of setup. It's more cost effective to go, I'm just going to go ahead and pay someone to go ahead and maintain the servers and everything, and they're farming it out, right? Netscape did it, I know, a bunch of them back when the .com was booming initially. And Kubernetes is similar, where they're focusing on how things are functioning with the load balancing side. And so you can do nodes of distribution in like a local area. It's going to be able to shave some cost or labor or runtime actions of some sort, which ties right into distributed computing, like using P-Node, for example, or anything on the Tor network, where a lot of us, just like in our last meeting, we're all in confirmation, like, yeah, that's where things need to be. That's where technology is going. We need to just all figure out an assessment of each other to figure out our niches.
Yeah.
And placehold those things. And so we're looking at it where what we're trying to accomplish is essentially a mirroring of what they're doing on the reality side. So any kind of service that people have in a local area, whether it's an organization or the county services, we look at those like they're an app in Docker. Now we're going to Dockerize them, and wherever the shared services are or requirements, those basically become standardized, and you can categorize them, link them up. So
put them in sequence so that people have an easy step-by-step process laid before them with the connections and the communication links that are necessary, like I was talking about before with the veteran and disability individual who needs both advocates within their request to be involved.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's kind of like, democratizing the market in a way, because the market right now, as we all know, is in very dangerous place because it's been infiltrated by Communist Party, and basically all of our infrastructure is pretty much shot because of that. So I think it's very important that there, and you're right, it's been amazing to talk to so many people who are like feeling the same thing. They're like, how can we make networks? The technology's here. I think the Silicon Valleys, they want to handle millions and millions of people, but we all know in like permaculture and ecosystems, everything is always localized, and having localized hubs that are connected to adjacent hubs. Sociocracy is a great model for that. Every little pod has got ones that are going back and forth, but they're self-sufficient, in their communication. I think Google really saw that early on, Google Local, but it got so spammy because, without heartbeat to your local operations, it's just like, you get callers from another part of the world, like, I would like to help you with your business on Main Street. And like, okay, where are you? Well, that's funny, but, Google Local, knows a hyper local is the future. Like the tech companies know that hyper local is the future. Just look at Facebook Marketplace. Now they're like trying to get you to register to vote. I mean, they want to do everything. There's even more services. You look through Facebook and they're trying to do everything, like virtual tag sales and all this shit. But yeah, I really the idea of really getting the people holding their own data and sharing it. And I love using existing technology for that. As far as like where my strengths are for coding, I've got a bit of a full stack background on the web side with like JavaScript in PHP and front end code, and then more recently is more on the C# Unity development. The last 3 years have been really where I've diving in. And I have 2 really good libraries. The reason why Jordan found me, and now I'm working with the plan system guys too, because they need it, is World Space AR, which is integrating computer vision with GPS. So being able to add no hotspots with anywhere in the world, like, it could be one on this camera and you just sit there and little node comes up. And then the other one is the same thing, but it's in virtual reality. So basically being able to tag metadata in VR. And I told her in the beginning of this call, last few weeks, that I was finishing up a multiplayer VR template. So it's all ready to go. And I think Plan Systems is gonna use it as well. But you can upload a world, which would be a gymnasium, a schoolroom, whatever you have. You could even scan it in Matterport and go to a real location. Like I've scanned in music venues before, and I'm like, yo, you guys got to get your new music. This is before the pandemic. I said, you guys got to digitize your venue because some people are not going to be able to travel here, and all you're going to do is you're going to have them go to the virtual reality version of your theater and do it like that. So it could be any of that. And then the multiplayer functionality has inventory, so you can collect things in the world, and it also has content submission. So you can add your own 3D objects into those worlds, and also audio. It has audio, so you can talk through your mic. So
Awesome.
it's finished. It works.
Wow.
So I'm stoked, and I'm ready to just be like, here, use this. Like honestly, anybody has Unity loaded up, add your models in there, host it your own. It's ready to go.
So okay, think of it with this concept. You scan your town for all the organizations. She's covering it. Anyway, okay, so you scan your region, like your zip code.
Yeah.
You scan the whole yellow book and Yelp index and all those databases. Overlap it with mapping, like Google Maps, for example, or Open Maps.
Yep.
So you've got a physical representation throughout additional layers overlapping while they're correlating, right? So you can narrow them down, and then you go, hey, you know, I like to go ahead and support businesses that have this as their purpose or spirit of intent, and you know that they're very effective at it. Who's in that list going straight across the board? So I can go ahead and help support that. Like, what if your primary focus that you want to support is mom and pop shops just in general? Because you know that's going to help the economy on your local scale, keeping money here and getting it recirculated. And the main reason why you're going to them is not just that economic scale, but also you're not treated like you're disposable or a number.
Right.
You're a local. They know you. They get to know you on more of a personal level. It's like, why do you go to your bank and say, you know what? I'll just hold off and wait until my favorite teller that's on schedule for the day is available, and I'll talk with them.
Yep.
I do that all the time. I did it for years. It was the only reason why I would stick with the bank, and I don't like to skip and hop and everything. I just want grounding. I want a level of security on that personal level. So taking a lot of this information we can do, and you look at every business as a department of a large scaled business, super corporate size, right? Like a Hightower in New York City. Every level has a different department, basically. So what if you could do that on your local scale throughout your community?
Yeah.
And you sort them out, and you can go from entry to expert, top level, cream of the crop, creating your super index,
your portfolio.
And along the lines, you've got like mentors that help guide. They're all consolidated, so you're saving costs up the ass across the board. That's a guaranteed perpetuation of growth. So you're focused on the core economy, including the personal aspects like quality of life as part of that economy.
Yeah.
Business, economics, arts, creativity, agricultural stuff, learning. Like, have you ever seen the show Eureka? It was a sci-fi show.
I don't think so.
All the cream of the crop of their different fields, right? And they had that localized community.
Nice.
What could we do if we could replicate that
in every community?
Yeah. Not just on a single instance, but everywhere. Just create main veins and make sure that everybody that's participating has that forward lean in their development process and how they go about things. That's where we've been focusing is what can we do to pull from current frameworks that are of the best, and their different niches and fields. How do things operate the most where it's undeniable? You cannot argue this process. You cannot argue the process over here. There's all that research to back it up. So in essence, you're kind of going towards the dream that Alexander the Great had for Alexandria, which is also, reminiscent of the Atlanteans,
Nice.
while embracing the values and the weights of all these different aspects. Like if you work for your money, you work your ass off. you tend to have a much greater appreciation for the dollar that you earned, rather than you're constantly being gifted monies, that you don't really go through the experience to gain an aptitude and becoming adept at the value of those nuances.
Yeah. It's great. And I love the idea of the gamification of that, because
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I like the idea of the gamification of that process of of connecting people in the local area, and using meritocracy as a way to reward good faith, which just kind of happens in an organic level. I lived in Costa Rica for a long time, and the way that they work down there, they're not as connected as we are, but they are very much about supporting the local town. And people just want to do the good thing, because they really will, they'll make fun of you and give you a real hard ass time if you do something dumb to somebody in town, so that's like the natural organic thing humans want to do without even technology. So it makes sense that we want to reflect nature and how communities work in the real life, versus which been like the colonialization model, where these external powers are coming in and they're extracting resources, and pulling it out into whatever the mainland, to whatever country is kind of running that operation.
Yeah, removing the resources that are indigenous to the indigenous peoples of the land is not a sustainable method of any means. And
No, it's not. It's bad. And if it's planned deindustrialization, I mean, that's really what's happened to this country, is that, all right, pre-COVID, we were all depending on these products, these things, da 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 da. But in this new economy that's going to be created, and those things shrink up, what do we have? Well, we have, hopefully not monopolies. Hopefully we have organized local economies that can create the production they need, get the things they need done without the big international corporations saying, you need this product and that product. Like, no, if we are organizing on the main level, we'll survive the attempt of planned deindustrialization that's happening, because
that's a part of that plan for depopulation. So
yeah.
what we've come up with is something that would do it in a way that is sustainable, that we're not depopulating, that we're actually bringing in more education and empowerment to the community to be able to be self-sustaining through this process. Now, we do have this gamification as an online proposal, but we are also planning for it to be a physical game that you can take to a community that doesn't have computers, and they have cards that they can use for inspiration, mission generation, and so forth.
That's great. That's great.
That's Tigger in the background. Sorry.
Okay.
So we've also thought about what would it look like that we can all relate to on a common line, irrespective of your political affiliation, your economic status, your race, gender, or whatever, age. Everybody identifies with superheroes and the sci-fi genres. Like within them, we've got Star Wars, we've got Star Trek, we've got Transformers, Shield,
Agents of Shield.
Yeah,
and,
the whole Marvel DC universe and beyond, you know, Night Comics. And one of the most realistic sketches that we've been able to identify with, that we thought would be kind of hitting home for a lot of people, would be the example of Starfleet Academy. Starfleet and Starfleet Academy, we've got our own versions getting started up right now, being promoted by the Trump, and as an
by
additional,
the Trump.
the president, and a current enactment of an extension of the Air Force.
Wow.
Where they're handling air and beyond, where we have the Navy that handles sea.
Yeah.
Now we've got the Army that handles landmass. And
Space Force.
what's that?
Are you talking about Space Force?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm aware of that. My brother's in the armed forces, and he has
Right.
some knowledge on that.
And then we have current entrepreneurs in high pursuits of that. They're well connected too, and including along like the truther label would be like Elon Musk. He's seeking for truth. He's voiced his frustrations. He's in an area we can access, you know. That's one of the reasons why we're staying here in California. You know, between Seattle, you know, you got Washington, and down here in California for Tesla, and we've got SpaceX, and then now he's moving some of his stuff over to Texas. You know, Jordan's over there in Texas along with other people we know.
Yeah. Joe Rogan just moved there too, I think.
Right. Joe Rogan would be an excellent person for us to get together with and connect with. You know, Jordan Peterson, anybody that is a critical thinker and has the ability or the networking capacity to help facilitate other builders coming on board that are very critical of you know, being objective. It's got to have a foundation. It's got to be sourced. We want to embrace creativity and go from 0 to 6,000 in a heartbeat, and be continually applying forethought as a very important aspect and factor that must be met. Thinking ahead and not just, hey, we'll put it off until we have to deal with it.
Definitely.
If people actually have the knowledge in front, the knowledge and the tools in front of them that they can access on their terms on demand, we don't need to be spending so much money babysitting people. We give them the power, and then they can have some guides, insert a mentorship framework. There's a huge crap load of really personalized education and support system. A lot of people have very little support system that's healthy.
Nice.
And so, you know, we've done a lot of research into top tier connectivity and correlation, like I showed earlier with the UN agenda, and then our response to that.
Okay.
This is what we're talking about.
I don't know about you and how much of this you've gone down the rabbit hole. We've noticed a lot of people just wanting to focus on what they want, yet those steps to complete that accomplishment are not met. And they want to exclude, they just want to focus in little niches and not look at the full context of what is your reality and how might we address it. In order to do that, you first have to follow the basic principles of identify, adapt, overcome. Well, you have to identify a roadmap of what you would like, get it sketched out, figure out some nuances in how the mechanics might actually operate, what might fail, what might work, as well as recognize the layers of what's the current framework you have to deal with right now in order to show contrast and come up with other avenues or different steps and stages to accomplish that.
Yeah.
If there's no plan, I don't know how we're going to get much further.
True.
Those different ideas need to come together, and that's an area we put some heavy thought and consideration into, and to build it out further.
Mm-hmm.
Just continual DevOps, basically.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely direction to our society needs right now, and there's so much connectivity and tools to empower it, but I think you're right, it needs a solid vision. What is your first MVP look like? Is it a digital product? Is it a web app? What is your first vision for MVP?
So
Meritus badging
the
system.
Meritus badging
It's the
system
core.
is what we're working on right now, and we're using a couple of different format sets for it. So I'm going to share one here. Let's see, where'd it go? Is it that one? No, that's the toolbox. Brushes, untitled project. Maybe it's the untitled project. I'm not sure. No, it wasn't the untitled project. Sorry. There's just, yeah, let's see. If I click on that, I should be able to share that. All right. So we're using a model of positive psychology as our part of our backbone here. And this is by Peter Seligman. He and another licensed psychologist did a full-on research documentation of the power of positive psychology. And they came up with these 24 character strengths along with the virtues that are also within this set. And I am working to make buttons of them right now. So badges and buttons that people can actually look at to see what, it's like, okay, what is courage about? Let's learn what missions fall under courage that I could get that badge for example.
Mm-hmm.
So in gaming, you need to have a framework of your rule sets, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you have your digital assets over there. We're looking at all these things in the meritocracy as digital assets, and then they expand out according to different factors, including like linguistics, culture, spirituality, science, medical, whatever we're able to locate in the research from the top tier down and make sure that that thread is kept in line. We're building that relational mapping model that's based on empirical evidence and translates into real world application. And then looking at the levels of impact factors, which you could implement within your avatar's profile and their health system. So you include their activities. You're used to doing it on an activity level, activity and action within the framework of designing a game, right?
Yeah.
So the whole framework for a societal model based off of everything that is empirically validated from empirical paper down to like white papers and journals and creative writing even. Get them all cross-associated, so now you have multiple lenses that are very personalized to people within those sectors of community and how they break down. No different than you have Spanish and then you have multiple forms of dialects of Spanish, all actually deriving out of Latin, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Valencia.
So those are also the two primary languages throughout our multinational scope. Whatever region we're in, our law and our medicine, for example, follow those two primary languages where you can trace it back, and it provides actual context, not just context in the root words and what they actually mean, to give a more narrow context than the generalized one from your final word. You look at the root words, and then it can also expand out into the historical timeline. What was going on at that time in history and the mindset of how people had interpreted it. If we're 200 years out of that scenario, there's a lot of information missing that someone uninformed is not going to have the gain of, to seeing the whole picture of how and why this was. Why did this fail? You know, they just kind of have this list of, well, this was going on, this was going on, this was going on, but it doesn't dive in very far like creative writing or personal journals, like the Diary of Anne Frank, for example, where you get a lot more nuance into the contextual history. What is really going on? How did it affect you and your family, or you personally? How did that affect your psychology, your level of resilience? And so, yeah, it goes all into a lot of different really common sectors that we're all very fanatical about, like entertainment. You've got Hollywood, you've got underground content creators. Everybody would have a very integral key part to play in what is essentially mapping humanity in its current state and through history, to not just progress on what we've been doing, but learn from the past on an informed level and make those leapfrog jumps.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of different areas
deep.
here. It gets really deep, but we look at lineage and history and heritage and how that plays a role in everything, giving the player that dynamic ability to understand what their thinking came from, where their
Yeah.
process of evaluation and dealing with and coping with the situation, and hopefully through a VR simulation be able to find the different alternative paths they could have taken. So I wanted to share with you, because a lot of people ask when we talk about this stuff, well, what's the game plan? You know, what's we talking about? And so I have here what we've developed thus far to try to explain it and give people some context of it, of, you know, how we can put this into a game. What we start with is our main game plan, which is how people enter, what they're going to do upon entry, how they can return, what their rewards are, the collaborations and team setup and team players and so forth. And to go into detail, we want to start off by bringing in people like yourself who can help to create this virtual reality gameplay. And we came up with some ideas about creating competition of a virtual simulation worlds, and it sounds like you've got a lot of this already done. So you know what we are looking for with character animation, VR relatability to reality, challenging tasks and innovative ways of solving them, interaction with others and choices along the journey, golden eggs. We're talking like taking Final Fantasy to a new level of reality, making Mission Impossible challenges, and creating individual codes for players who wish to register anonymously. And then we have a couple of examples here. And the first example actually is from a book that I wrote in 2007, Quantum Quinn and the Night Mirror. Where'd you go? Are you still there? What's
Yeah.
going on? Sorry about that. I lost the image for a minute, but to be able to invite people into this virtual reality that's very similar to their own reality, where it can be from bullets flying around the corner to like an environmental catastrophe, to whatever that they're faced with, because based on their skills and their talents and their passion, these are the missions that are being presented.
Mm-hmm.
The online missions to help them further develop their skills and their passions, and further develop them to a point of being able to get out there and have the tools that they need, because they've gone through this simulation process, to actually do and accomplish what they want to in the real world.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. And I think of a project that I worked on in Oregon. I lived in Oregon for a little bit, lived in Portland, and we did something called,
Ooh.
yeah.
He's from Oregon, so.
I lived in Beaverton for a while.
Yeah, I was in the capital for quite a while.
Nice.
And I used to flip over to Vancouver across the border. You know, it's 20-mile difference.
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Much cheaper over there.
What's that?
You know, much cheaper to live. A lot of people lived in Vancouver and drove into Portland. You know.
Yeah, I was in Vancouver for like about 7 years or so.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I'd have to go down to Aflac headquarters down in Beaverton, go through the hell of a highway sprint right over there. I forgot what it's called now. It's just south of Portland, where you would literally get a miniature heart attack on average 3 times one way.
Yeah.
Through that 5-mile track. Twilliger curves. That's what it was.
Twilliger curve. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And our tech lead that specializes in server and security.
Yeah.
Used to work over in Symantec, and he's over in Eugene right now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Oregon's not the place you want to be right now. Seems all fucked up.
Yeah,
but, it'll get better.
Blood red over there.
That's
I was
wild.
screenshot, pictures of what it was like. Like, hey, this is not including a filter on this picture. This is what it really is. Like over in Salem and Eugene and a few other places. It was like blood red at noon.
I couldn't believe it. I got a friend. He's in Eugene. He was scared where he was at. So I don't know if there's going on down there too. Well, I was gonna say about when I was there, I did something called a digital interactive storytelling capsule, or DISC. And we got like one little round of funding. Didn't go too big, but it was really cool. It was basically 360 videos that taught you a story or a lesson or something. It was like before virtual reality came out, it's just 360 virtual tours with a little embedded video in it.
Yeah, we were
cool, but I'm thinking about that, like, as far as like what I could offer for the project is like you have these kind of little VR experiences that are part of your leveling up process. Things that I'm already kind of like making, because that's what it is. It's like I'm making we're all content management people. It's funny, plan systems, what I do, but all of what you do, like all of different flavors. So I thought it was really interesting. That last meeting was pretty funny. But basically the VR content management system is ready to go. And I've also got the software to turn 360 video with this camera into VR experiences that are more passive experiences, right? Like they're using them in to teach bedside manner for doctors, because doctors need that. You know what I mean? Like the way they do it is they actually put the camera with the patient and have another doctor in and treat them in different ways, so they can really empathically learn.
That first started out with baby monitors. They went to baby monitors and screen cameras on like the laptops. Yeah.
Right on.
Sorry about that. That was really freaking cool. If you don't know Cassandra Wasselman, we'll try to get you hooked up.
Okay, cool. Where she works in that
Her
field?
husband is in the biomedical field.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I met somebody in
On that, along with
Virtual Burning Man that did this.
what's
She
that?
was in Asheville, or she was in North Carolina, not Asheville, but down there, because in North Carolina's got a big medical tech industry. But she was the one who told me about it. She was fully granted doing empathic video VR.
Cool.
Like,
That's cool.
so cool. Very effective, actually, because the results of these tests, experiential learning trumps all. It's really, really what we're looking for in the future. And now with this kind of pandemic, it's like an opportunity in the market to justify, the kind of startup costs. But then again, October 12th, the Quest 2 comes out. It's only $300. So that's going to just make this industry blow up. And,
Right.
and that's what I'm developing with is the Quest to doing an Oculus Quest. I can use other headsets too, because I'm using code that will work for all VR. I'm using like a cross-platform code, but I'm using the Quest because it's amazing. I mean, you could take it anywhere and just throw it on someone's head, and now they're going to be $300 a pop. So, another extension of what I can offer. There are some stuff where it can go through the browser, but it's not as powerful, and I think, with like plan systems, being able to distribute large content securely, I think, like all this technology will kind of marry together and come together.
And that's what we're hoping for, is bringing on these different sectors of focus into one large dynamic space that can be even manipulated by the user themselves.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, I have to run because I got another appointment in like 10 minutes. But what I wanted to say is that I love what you guys are doing, and it's all, like we're all gears, and we're all like moving in synchronicity, right? Coming together, not just like going through the yellow pages, but like in real meaningful ways. But I'd like to at least offer to you guys like 10 hours of support in your production phase,
Awesome.
going to make a demo. And in that, I can get you a 360 video of sort. I could build you out a quick VR demo.
Okay.
And, that's, I guess, what I can offer. And you could see, I can give you a little bit more of the work that I've done. But a lot of it is just like, I haven't really shared yet, but I can. Basically, the VR platform is ready to go. Do you have VR headsets?
We don't.
I recommend getting the Oculus One. You just get one of them so you guys could share it, but that way I could really share my work with y'all. I can send you files to install on your headset. So way when you start to talk to people to get involved, get some energies into the project, you got something to throw on their head, or you know what I mean? Just part of your presentation.
That's where on the gaming side, other than gamification of business, the plan was to aim towards a replication, and of course it being altered to Niantic's Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Or even the other
something
one,
like that.
Ingress too.
Yeah.
Can I share my screen with you? Boom. So first I'll show you all right, so there's the two content management systems I created, actually three. I'll show you where they all progress, and now you'll be like, oh my God, they all work together. What the fuck? Okay, this is where I started off at. It used to be called Taggable Tours, and Taggable Tours was 360 images that you could tag. And I like the name Treasure Maps, which is still to this day the name of my company, Treasure Maps.
Cool.
So we created some. That one might be down. So this is where it started, is just like 2D maps, something that would pull us through. Why is it so slow? Sorry, guys. Let's see if I'm connected to the right Wi-Fi. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is drone footage And you see the hot spots on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can add whatever, right? Pulls up pictures. This is a little like article or a little bit about this tree tour that they do on this land in Costa Rica. But you could also put 360s. Okay, so that's where it started. But basically, Treasure Maps was a content management system that allowed you to stitch together these 360 tours. And I lived in Costa Rica, so I did a lot of stuff there. Now, I created it so you could do it in AR. So now you're in real world.
Is this going through your VR glasses, or is it?
Well, that's a great question. For right now, it's through the phone, but we're within months for the glasses. And also, I used to have the glasses. I bought Magic Leap and I sold them right before their company crashed. Those guys totally, they bit the dust. They just didn't run their company good. So I was using the Magic Leap, but it just was ugly and heavy, and it was not it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was still impressed. So this is kind of the idea, right? Now this is the VR version. Now, the next step is what I just created. Just last week, I finished it. This is original AR. I really have saved this picture for a long time because I just really just struck my imagination of what augmented reality was, but what it could be like, you know, like you guys are talking about, like taking your game and putting them in card form so people who have less, you know, ability to technology could still experience it. Well, this was to, like, you know, use a in-person effect, what AR meant and what it could really do. Okay, I did this as a 3D photo so you can see it moves a little bit. That's the little panel on your hand in VR. So you can type in here, you can send in forms, but that's all web. That's all web. So you can access this on your wrist and enter data that way. Here's the multiplayer world. So now you're in 3D space using the same form in VR. You see how this content management system is becoming a theme in the map, then the AR, now the VR. It's the same fucking system, dude.
Yep.
The same system.
Yep.
It's all open source web design. Everything here, I create because everybody knows web technology, but now people who do web technology can now integrate with VR. So that's really exciting because you could add e-commerce, you could add LMS systems, you name it.
Remember, he's on a time.
That brings an excellent question to my mind, is how compatible with the VR format for the content management system and something like NetLiffy. Would NetLiffy be able to talk to it? So if,
easy.
Say, for example, we built out ours on NetLiffy and made a central hub for everybody to try to contribute to, yet they've got their own portals on other areas or whatever, and then be able to do the same thing on the VR side?
Yeah, it'll run everything, dude. It'll do JavaScript. You could have
it'll cross-populate and share the same format, kind of like you have to consider between a desktop and portable device like an iPhone for screen size.
Yeah, it's up to you. I mean, you could make it as big as a billboard. You know what I mean? Okay. I have a developer trying to help me with like the VR keyboard, but I decided to use a JavaScript keyboard. It is open source.
Right.
So we just have to make sure that keyboard script is available on any of the sites that we share through that so people can interact with it. Unless they're non-interactive, like, you know what I mean? Like, it'll do buttons with the ray.
Right.
You see how you see that array is turning white there? It's red there, but it's white there.
Okay.
So anytime anytime that it hits something that's interactive, it turns white, and it does it through the website through this too. There's the keyboard I was telling you about.
Right.
So yeah, so the idea is to be able to just have these little web terminals places. My next thing is I've got it figured out in AR where I can remember all of this stuff.
Yeah,
So those are cool. I use
like
another library what it does is it looks at your AR and it just recognizes a little piece of pixel. 90 degrees help. The floor really helps make it very steady. Some things it doesn't like to. It's not going to do really well with like very complex plant systems that are moving in the breeze. So it's just more for general information though.
Are you
I'm really
planning
obsessed with
integrating,
holograms. I'm really obsessed with any of these holograms.
That's freaking awesome. I love that, man. That would take a little bit of getting used to.
Well, yeah, but I mean, imagine working with this shit like Minority Report.
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
could have different panels and you set them up and you're like, okay, I got the fucking emergency responder here. I got my food production here, my water here. Like these little panels, you're just like, choo, 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 choo.
Exactly.
That's what
Exactly.
that's,
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
the
look at these panels.
players panel, the players dashboard. That's kind of what we're looking at having available to the guest and the player. So it would start out for a guest just as a base dashboard, and then
But they're all classified in a hierarchy that is correlated to real world structures,
and there's skills sets.
like sectors of society.
So like, there would be a bar for the badges, and then there's a bar for the skills, and then there's a bar for progress on a quest, and there, the different sections show up so that a player can look at their stats but still have an open window within that space that they can explore through.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
You get access to a freaking mainframe type control system that's directly tied into your society. Everything in it. Anything you want to do, whether it's work or play, you've got maps.
Love it, man. Well, it all needs to be married together. So I definitely got to run now, but I think it was good. We got a chance to show each other what we got. And, it's the idea is like, you don't have to build the whole thing. You just got to look like it's already built, and then the idea is the gold.
Well, Kahlil, I'm going to send you a friend request. So it's going to be from Lyra Jub. And then I will also send you that link on Messenger for the information package so you have it easily accessible. You just click on the link and it should open up the presentation packet that you can then go through and review. There's a lot of pages in the player's manual. It's almost 30 pages now. We have charts, we have mind maps, we put a lot of effort into that side of it. And
the second half, the latter chapters are the legal docs. So the actual manual is just the front half.
Well, check out the app vSpatial when you get a chance.
okay.
vSpatial. All right.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this. As a way to kind of like, quickly share a rapid prototype of your dashboard. I mean, I think people need a dashboard. That's how we think, and if you had a clean dashboard, you could do quite the experience with vSpatial.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could really help show your idea. Check these out.
Yeah.
That's nice.
There we go.
We like that.
You can use your computers that you have now.
Yeah. Think of the Batcave.
Yeah, but this would help get your vision. You guys are very intelligent people, and you have a lot of connections in your mind. And I just start to make it visual when I think. Usually I'll use a board and draw pictures on the dry eraser board. But that's what I'm getting with your project, and to be able to rapid prototype it in Netlify and then just show it what it'll look like and see how it'll work like.
That would be great.
And this is a rapid prototype tool. I think it could be really good for you.
I like it.
That's freaking awesome.
And you might be able to get the Quest 1 on sale because people are going to buy this new one. Maybe there's a whole shit ton of them on eBay, so you can check it out. And that's what I have. I have the Quest 1, and it's great. It's worth every penny. I paid $375 for it from someone who it was used, and I've been really happy with it. But you could have this type of stuff, and you could screen share it to your computers and then record it for your promo videos,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. Would you want to help out on the donation and resource tree?
I don't know what you mean by that.
It's based off the Meritus system, and branching out into the gaming profiles of like companies and individuals and teams, like we were touching on earlier.
Yeah. Well, like I said, name of the company is Treasure Maps that I do, and you see the 3 levels of kind of treasure maps that I create.
Right.
And like I said, I'll offer 10 hours of in-kind development work to make a demo work for you. So if that answers that, I think that's, if that's part of being, donating to your project, and yeah,
definitely.
Is that a good answer?
And we really appreciate that. I think he was talking more on like the side of part of that time being spent to working on a donation tree. And I understand that you have to go now, Kahlil, so we will just leave it on that note, and we'll get back with you. Like I say, I'll send you that friend request, and we'll go from there. Okay.
That sounds good. It's really good to talk to you both.
Hey, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. I'm inspired by you guys. I really love our talks.
Awesome.
That's our goal.
That's the
You got to be able to inspire people.
Yeah, man. I mean, because that's what it's about. Like, I can tell you're passionate and patient, and those things go together are amazing. Passion and patience.
It takes exercise, lots of
lots
pain.
of patience, lots of exercise. Yep.
No greenhorns.
I love it. Hey, much love to you
make the
both.
steps accessible for the greenhorns.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right.
Have a
beautiful
good
afternoon. We'll be in touch.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later.